Tonight we'll tell you about the biggest ever shift in India's strategic focus. Since independence, India's biggest security challenge has been Pakistan. Not anymore. Now it's China. While Pakistan remains a thorn in India's side, China is a threat. And we've known this for a while, but now India is taking action on this. A total of 200,000 Indian soldiers have been deployed on the border with China. This is the biggest ever deployment along China in Indian history. Also a massive jump from last year. Here's what we know so far. India has redirected at least 50,000 more troops to the China border. These are additional troops. Earlier, they were handling anti-terrorism operations against Pakistan. Now they have been moved to tackle the threat from China. With these new deployments, India is now set to have around 200,000 soldiers focused on the line of actual control with China. This is an increase of 40% from last year. In recent months, India is said to have moved troops and fighter jets to 3 distinct areas along the border with China. We'll tell you about them in just a bit in detail. Sources tell us that with these deployments, India wants to match the Chinese forces toe to toe. So if India has around 200,000 soldiers on the border, we are given to believe that China has an equal number. Does this mean another confrontation is brewing? Is India responding to a new threat perception? Sources tell us the threat has been clear and present. India's deployment is about preparedness rather than triggering hostility. Look at the sequence of events in the past 12 months. Multiple border frictions, 11 rounds of commander-level engagements, 7 meetings between diplomats and military officials, and 2 face-to-face interactions between the foreign ministers of both sides. The result is this: Beijing talks about disengagement but refuses to pull back troops. Forget pulling back troops. China is adding more. It is also deploying more weapons and artillery. In response, India has reshaped its strategy. It is reorienting troops to the north, towards China, which is a bigger threat. And this is something that India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, told me in an exclusive interview earlier this month. As of today, General Rawat, which neighbour, according to you, poses a bigger security threat to India, Pakistan or China?
I think we are very clear as to where our security challenges rise, and very many years ago, our defense ministers have spelled this out for us. And so I think this need not be spelled out in clear terms. We know that we have challenges on both sides, but we have to obviously address a larger neighbor with some degree of concern. So we understand where the challenges lie.
Does that mean China?
Yeah, obviously, as I said, when you have a larger neighbor which has got a better force, better technology, so you obviously prepare for a larger neighbor. At the same time, you have both the neighbors.
Preparing for the larger neighbors, so both sides have stepped up their military presence. Where are these troops stationed? Well, reports say on the Indian side, the extra troops have been spread out across the LAC, the line of actual control, from cities like Leh in the north to Dimapur in Nagaland in the east. What about the Chinese? In Tibet and Xinjiang, China has been upgrading airports and infrastructure. It has been conducting military training as well. Last week, we told you how China has been raising militia units by training Tibetans to fight against India. Reports say such training took place near Pangong So. You might remember Pangong So. It's the site that witnessed a deadly clash between Indian and Chinese soldiers last year. Earlier this month, the PLA also conducted a high-altitude drill with more than 1,000 soldiers from 20 units. And in the last 6 months, the PLA has conducted more than 100 joint exercises. Many of these drills have been focused on the border with India. China has also commissioned new weapon systems in Tibet and Xinjiang. These 2 provinces share a border with India. Reports say these regions are being equipped with advanced weaponry, like intermediate-range ballistic missiles, tanks, rockets, launchers, howitzers, and infantry fighting vehicles. The military threat from China is clear, and India cannot afford to fall behind. So in recent weeks, Indian forces have made their own tactical adjustments. The biggest challenge in keeping the border areas with China safe is altitude. A soldier needs to acclimatize to the conditions to be battle-ready. They spend days to prepare for high-altitude warfare. How do Indian soldiers do it? They split the acclimatization process in stages. So at stage 1, a soldier is at a height of say 9 to 12,000 feet, and it takes about 6 days to get used to this altitude. It is only after 6 days that a soldier is medically ready for combat here. This is stage 1. At stage 2, you're at the height of 12 to 15,000 feet, so you need another 4 days to get used to this height. So what India has done essentially is this. It has moved 50,000 additional soldiers to this height, which is 12 to 15,000 feet. This gives India an advantage of 10 days. Meaning, if the situation on the border flares up, the soldiers are already acclimatized, so they save 10 days. These soldiers are the ones who were stationed at forward positions against Pakistan. Now, their primary responsibility has been shifted from Pakistan to China. The Indian Army is now preparing soldiers who can fight on both fronts if required. In that state of readiness. Of course, this comes at a cost, both in terms of finance and resource. But that is something that had to be done because in wars, terrain can be more critical than manpower and machines. Terrain can be a game changer, and understanding terrain gives you an edge. America learned this in Vietnam, Germany in the Soviet Union, Russia learned it in Afghanistan, and China recently learned this in Galwan. Terrain has been an important aspect of military strategy, and China's most famous military strategist, Sun Tzu, devoted an entire chapter to terrain in his famous book, The Art of War. Let me quote from what he said. Terrain matters because it is a central element of any strategy. Confirmation of the ground is of the greatest assistance in battle. Therefore, to estimate the enemy situation and to calculate distances and the degree of difficulty of the terrain so as to control victory are virtues of the superior general. He who fights with knowledge of these factors is certain to win. He who does not will surely be defeated. So India is arming its soldiers with this knowledge. India is assuming a posture of what is called offensive defense. And China knows what this shift means. It is not happy about this. At a press conference today, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs accused India of escalating tensions at the border.
The current situation on the border between China and India is generally stable, and the two sides are in negotiations to settle border issues. Against such a backdrop, the words and deeds of major military and political officials and military deployments should help ease the situation and increase mutual trust between the two sides, not the other way around.
As we speak, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is on a 3-day visit to Ladakh to assess military preparedness. The signal from New Delhi is clear. China is the bigger military threat, and India is prepared to respond with force if required. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.